Story time of how my best friend of 20 plus years tried to ruin my engagement celebration over $300. So my boyfriend at the time planned a surprise trip to Miami for our 2-year anniversary and ended up surprising me with a proposal. Also surprised me with my best friend of 20 plus years being there. I was obviously super excited. I was so shocked that she was able to make it. It turns out the reason why she was able to make it was because she was already planning a trip to Disney World for her daughter, whose birthday was in that same month. So she had come with her mom, her 2 kids, and her 2 brothers, which was super cool. The first weird thing happened right after the proposal. The first thing that she said to me was, everyone else had ample time to plan ahead and to be here, which I didn't even entertain that comment. I was in such a good mood. I was so happy. I had just got proposed to, so I just pushed that to the side and I didn't really even touch on it. But it was kind of a shady comment to make, and she was referring to any of my other friends that didn't come and any of my family members that didn't make it, which I literally did not care at all if nobody was there. I was grateful that she came, but I wouldn't have expected or been upset that anyone else didn't come, because a trip to Miami is expensive and I wasn't upset that nobody else was there. Fast forward, we have dinner that night, everything's cool. I'm in such a great mood. The next night, we plan a night out with my fiance's friend who lives in Miami, who's a promoter, was going to get us into a club. So it was me, my fiance, my friend, and her 2 brothers that were going to go out. So they all come over to our Airbnb. We're getting ready. Me and my friend are upstairs getting ready, and the 3 guys are downstairs. I did remember hearing my fiance mention it was probably going to be somewhere around $500, but he was unsure because I guess the promoter was also still unsure, like what strings he was going to be able to pull. So the number was kind of up in the air, but I do remember him mentioning something about around $500. So fast forward, we Uber to the club. We're waiting for his friend who's the promoter, because it turns out what he was going to do to get us in free was he was going to group us in with a big party that he was hosting that I guess was spending tens of thousands of dollars that night. So he was going to group us in with them and act like we were going in with them to be able to get us in for free. So we had to wait for that party to arrive, which was totally fine with me. I literally did not care. I was in Miami with my friend and my soon-to-be husband, and we're having a blast. We were sitting outside the club. There was a 7-Eleven at the corner that we went to. So we were sitting outside drinking, laughing, talking. The weather's great. Like, I was having a good time, regardless of how long we waited. But anyways, we only waited about 45 minutes. So his friend arrives. He ends up getting us into the club for free. And ends up getting us a table and a bottle for only $600. So my fiance offers to pay half of that amount, even though it's us 2 and then them 3. We should have split it down the middle, but whatever. He was willing to pay $300, and then her 2 brothers were supposed to pay $150 each. They sent the money to him immediately, but as soon as they did, I noticed my friend caught like a major attitude. So I turned to her and I'm like, hey, what's wrong? And she's like, he should have told us how much it was going to be before we got here. And in that moment, I wasn't really thinking about how she probably shouldn't have been acting that way. I was more concerned of trying to tend to her and make sure that she is having a good time. And mind you, we're in a club, it's loud, so every person I'm talking to, I have to go and kind of yell in their ear. So I go to my fiance and I'm like, babe, did you tell them how much it was going to be before we came? And he's like, yeah, I told them it was going to be somewhere around $500. And so I go to her brother, who's to my right, and I'm like, hey, did he tell you how much it was going to be before we came? And he goes, don't say anything, but no, he didn't. And I'm thinking, why would he say that? Like, there would be no reason for him to lie about it, especially since he already sent his money and he was acting like okay. He was acting cool with the amount that it was going to be. So I went to my friend and I'm like, I mean, your brothers are fine with paying the money. Malcolm said that he did tell them how much it's going to be. Like, what's the problem? And she's just in a terrible mood. She's on her phone texting. She's giving me attitude. She's like, no, I know that he didn't tell them how much it was going to be. He should have told them beforehand. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of it so that she can be in a better mood, because I'm trying to have a good time. And so I go back and I'm like, are you sure you told them how much it was going to be? He's like, yes, I did. And then she storms off to the bathroom. So I'm like, oh my gosh, babe, I'm going to go follow her. So I go follow her and he comes with me, and I'm waiting for her outside the bathroom. When she comes out, I'm like, dude, like, what's wrong? And she's like, no, he should have told us how much it was going to be. And she storms off and walks away from me. I'm like, what? Me and my fiance look at each other like, what is going on right now? Because again, mind you, she was going to pay $0. So then she ends up texting me saying, send the money back. And I'm like, you know what, babe, just send the brothers the money back and let's just leave. He ends up sending them their money back, and by the time we get back to the table, they're already gone. So we walk out of the club, and sure enough, they're standing all the way down the street at the corner, just them three. They had totally left us, and we could feel the vibe. They were trying to, you know, get their own Uber and leave on their own, which was like so weird to us. I didn't realize the video was 12 minutes long, so I'm going to stop it here and stay tuned for part 2.
I was 15 when I did 9 years in Florida women's prison. This is the start of my new series called My Teenage Life Lost. So let's start from the beginning. I already did part 1 and part 2 of the story time of the actual incident itself. Just for a quick little refresher, or for people that are new here, have not seen my story before, I committed armed robbery when I was 15 with a group of friends at the time. I was sentenced to 10 years in prison and 10 years on probation. I did 9 years total. I remember the day I was sentenced like it was yesterday. I mean, it was probably honestly still one of the worst days of my life. And not even because I was being sentenced. And let me explain. At that time in my life, I was like a complete rebellious teenager. I thought I knew everything, literally. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing at that point in my life. And I thought I was the baddest thing walking. I showed like absolutely no outside emotion about it. Now, did I privately feel those things? Yes, absolutely. Now, the worst part of it all, my mom has been by my side during this entire thing. So, of course, on the day of my sentencing, my mom was in the courtroom and she was a mess. I mean, she was bawling so hard that she couldn't even sit through my entire sentencing. I remember I wasn't even fully out of the courtroom yet, and I looked up and I seen my mom and my grandmother in tears, literally rushing out of the courtroom, and everybody that was in the courtroom that day, of course, we were like on high alert when my case came about, because for one, my age got mentioned, and for two, I'm being sentenced, so they know how long I'm about to go to prison for. So now everybody's like, oh wow, what's this case? What's going on? So when my mom was trying to exit the courtroom, a lot of people were trying to stop and like comfort her and say like things to her, but she was like clearly pushing them off and trying to get out of there as fast as possible, to the point that I had to yell and say, leave her alone, let her go. I still remember that day like it was a bad nightmare that I can't fully get rid of. And honestly, sometimes I think back to that exact moment and my heart aches for her. But another thing about that day is I also vividly remember is that when they sentenced me, they used the terms in months. So they said 120 months in the Department of Corrections, and my mind automatically felt like that was way less than 10 years. So I got super excited for a second. I thought that the judge decided to have mercy on me and like give me a second chance. But very quickly, my brain did the math and I realized, no, it's 10 years. The third thing that I remember very clearly that day was there was a guy sitting on the pew next to where I had to walk out of, and he had a Bible in his hand. He was up next, going from the judge. I don't know if he was being sentenced or not, because they ended up taking me out before he went on. But he had a Bible in his hand and I was walking out. He very lightly grabbed my hand. He said, God is with you. I know that's something that like people say all the time, like you always see references to God, or, you know, God got you, God this, God that, and I am a believer in God. But at that time, like I felt like that was God talking to me. The rest of my time at the courthouse kind of went by like a blur. I really don't remember much of it, because like I said, I kind of went into like a numbing process about the whole thing. But I do remember when I got back to the dorm that day, probably only 12 o'clock, maybe even 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just remember being so exhausted that I knew I had to call my mom. I literally had to just go into my bunk and take a nap for a little while, because I just couldn't mentally deal with anything else at that time. So most women, at least in like the county jail I was in, wait a few months before they are actually transferred to prison once they are sentenced to prison time. And I don't know, maybe just because my transferring process is a little bit different than everybody else's because I was a minor. Maybe there was just like a rush on my transfer, but I was gone within 9 days after the date that I was sentenced. I just was expecting to wait a few months before I actually went. Needless to say, the time that I was sentenced to the time that I actually showed up to the prison gates was not that long. So I still hadn't fully like processed what was going on, but I was already there. So it was time to get with the program, put my big girl panties on, and get through the next 10 years. I really had no idea what to expect because I had never been to prison before. I had actually never been to jail before. So I don't even know what I was expecting, but I thought my expectations were definitely not what it really was. If you're interested in hearing about my teenage prison life, then go ahead and press the follow button, because I will be posting more. I'm going to pretty much try to sum up my entire prison sentence, as well as where I'm at in my life now. So I love you guys, and you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Here's a story time about the 3 most traumatic years of my life. I literally have 12 followers at this point, so I'm not sure if anyone's even going to see this, but I thought since I'm kicking off my TikTok journey, I should share a little bit about what made me decide to start recording my life and sharing it with everybody. About 3 years ago, I was just about to get married to my husband, Sam. I was in business school, getting my MBA. I was fundraising for my startup, and right after the wedding, right after we closed our round, and honestly at what was otherwise the happiest time of my life, my mom very unexpectedly took her own life. It was the most devastating, unexpected, unbelievable thing that ever happened to me in my entire life, and honestly, it just completely shattered my entire view of the world. I spent the next year of my life, like, honestly on the couch eating a ton of food delivery, but really just numb, trying to put one foot in front of another. I was so worried about my dad, so worried about my brother. I just honestly was trying to get through every single day, and I was in complete disbelief of the kind of grief that I was experiencing during that time. I also had tons of pressure because I had just closed my round of funding, so I had to continue moving at hyperspeed on my startup. After about a year of this type of like focusing on my work and trying as much as I could to get by and like, I don't know, think about my mental health whenever possible, my husband and I finally got to a point where we felt like we could take like a tiny breath of air, and we were really excited to think about starting a family. Fortunately for us, we got pregnant right away, and the biggest surprise of all, which honestly made me feel like the universe was kind of correcting from this horrible thing I had experienced with my mom, we found out we were pregnant with identical twin girls. They were completely spontaneous. We have no twins in our family on either side. This was the last thing either of us ever would have expected, and it was honestly like the biggest miracle that's ever happened to me. At that point, I was back to thinking that good things happen to good people, and that we had really tried to be the best people we could be and honor my mom however possible, and that this just kind of had her written all over it. I had a really difficult pregnancy, which honestly is enough content for like 10 more videos, so I won't bore you with it right now. I did break my leg when I was 9 weeks pregnant, but for the first trimester, things seemed to be going pretty well, other than the broken leg and that I was throwing up every single day. Then we got hit with another absolute nuclear bomb. Just as I was heading into my second trimester, and like days before we were going to announce it to all of our friends and family that I was having twins, my dad got diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. It's called glioblastoma. It's incredibly aggressive. I don't even know how to explain the feeling that we all had when he got that diagnosis. I spent the entire rest of my pregnancy trying to keep, honestly, like 3 people alive. My twins and my dad. We flew all over the country, getting him the best care possible. He moved in with us at one point while he was going through chemo. It was, like, honestly, I was going to say devastating. That doesn't even do it justice. My only goal was to get my girls to term as much as I could and to keep my dad alive so that he could meet them. By the way, through all of this, I still was running my business. I had employees. We had to answer to our investors and grow the business. There were definitely times where I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I just like didn't have a choice. Like I just had to keep going and like try to do the best I could with the hand that I was dealt. We had our twins in December of 2023, and they were healthy and they're wonderful. They're actually going to be 2 this December. I can't believe it's already been 2 years since they were born. But we did sadly lose my dad a year ago, September. This is all to say that the last few years of my life have been a bumpy ride, a really bumpy ride. But I am here. I'm still standing, and I think it's really important for me to share how that is possible. I found the most comfort going through everything that I did from people who had been through something similar. I'm yet to find someone who's been through something quite as thorny as I have in such a short amount of time, but I know that there are people out there who have it harder than I do. I think the most important thing is to model for other people that it's definitely hard. It's definitely not something that I would wish on my worst enemy, but it is possible to find happiness through very intense trauma and grief. So if that resonates with you, follow along. I'm going to be living my life. I'm going to be finding happiness. I'm going to be celebrating my beautiful twins. And yeah, doing whatever I can to honor my parents and continue to live the fullest life possible because they can't. I wish they were here with me, and they would love my girls. But yeah, I'm really thankful to be able to share what I can and help anyone that this might reach.
Hey TikTok. So I'm finally gonna do a story time about what happened to my eye. So first I'm gonna say I probably don't tell stories that good, so if I don't and you get irritated, I don't know, skip it 2 times or don't watch it. And also, if you don't agree with my lifestyle or I guess the way I think or the choices I make, you can comment, but I don't care. Like, you live your life how you want to because it's your life and eventually you're gonna die. Anyways, so last year, October 2025, wait, no, it's 2025 right now. Last year, October 2024, I was with this guy, but then, he started doing fentanyl, so, I had to leave him. And then I was like by myself for a little bit, but I was like, I don't want to be a renegade, and that like it's hard for you to be a 3 or 4. I don't care what. I mean, I don't judge a renegade, and I probably would. I don't know. Because I don't have any friends that are renegades, but I'll probably be cool with one, but I wouldn't judge them. Like, it's your life. But personally, no. And I feel like, I can't do nothing without a pimp, to be honest, because you can't go outside without getting beat up. I got robbed, hit in my face, phone stolen while my eyes like this. So it's like, you can't do nothing without one, to be honest. And so I was like, I'm not going to give my money to the wrong person. And I don't know why I thought that the reason that none of my relationships ever work is because, I never, ask people about their backstory, I guess, to figure out, what kind of person they are, I guess, and stuff. So I see this one dude, and we're not even gonna give him, I'm just gonna say T, even though I'm really not even gonna probably say his name. Or I'm just gonna say him. But yeah, and he was in my inbox or in my DMs on Instagram for a while, so I was looking through my DMs, who can I text, I guess, and I text him because I'm like, fuck it, we had 2 people who we had followed mutually, and I had texted them, asked them about him, but they both said he was cool people, but they didn't really know him like that, personally. And so I'm like, fuck it, let me give him a try. He's been trying to hit me for a while. So, yeah, and I hit him back, and at the time I was in Antioch. Yeah, and it was getting dry out there, right? So, the first day me and him was talking, I didn't really make nothing in Antioch, so, yeah. I made a little bit, but, it wasn't, I don't even remember, to be honest, so it was cool, and then he was like, I told him he should take me to Richmond, so he takes me to Richmond. Okay, wait, hold on. When me and him first got on FaceTime, though, first red flag is I asked him where he lived, and he just said with his folks. Second red flag, every time me and him was on FaceTime, he always had to be in the car or, not in his house. And I was going to say the third red flag, but I kind of forgot. Okay, whatever. I forgot the third red flag. But, so, yeah, he takes me to Richmond, and I did good out there. I went to Blade or whatever for 2 hours, and I made, 500. And, yeah, and, he takes me back to a room, and he gets me weed and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, around this time I was getting high, off pills. And I'm just gonna put it out there, I don't judge nobody for what they do, but I used to get high off dope. Okay? And, I don't know, hopefully they don't take this down because I said that. But anyways, hardcore drugs. Not no fentanyl, though. Anyways, but I wasn't doing it then, but I'm just saying, it was probably in my system, because I'm sure that stuff stays in your system for, 6 months, right? I don't know. But he gave me pills, e-pills, and because I was really doing e-pills back then. I'm talking, really doing it. And he got me some weed. He takes me back to a room, drops me off. I packed my stuff because he was like that. We weren't going to stay in Antioch the next day. Next day comes around, he comes in, picks me up, and we ended up going to Stockton. And we come to Stockton, we get a room. I'm just gonna say, I should have knew it wasn't gonna work out, because why does this man take me to outside the Blade and in Stockton? And after he gets me a room and stuff, right, of course. But he just, like, leaves, like, without even letting me know that he's gonna go back home to his folks, whatever. But I knew he had a girlfriend the whole time. I mean, I should have knew. I don't know. I was being dumb. Well, the red flags, I guess, wasn't clicking back then. Anyways, oh, yeah, what I was going to say was another red flag was that he was 30 with no kids. Like, I just feel like, how are you 30 with no kids and you're, like, a hood nigga? I'm just saying. Like, not to, like, discriminate or if I am or whatever. I'm not, like, that type of person. But I'm just saying, you know, like, there's no way. Like, and he wasn't ugly, so. But I guess the red flag we see is that he's a target. Anyways, so we, like, yeah, he leaves me out there. He doesn't even tell me that he's going to leave. So I basically walk back to my room, even though it was walking distance. Like, I think it's like a 10-minute walk. Like, that's cool for me. I have long legs, so I walk fast. But I didn't even stay outside for really that long. I didn't even catch nothing outside for real. Like, I went back to my room and I started posting. And then by the morning time, I had 800. So I give him that. And then he's like, he wants to go get his hair cut. So I'm like, sure. And he was going to get me some more pills because, I don't know, I guess I didn't have no more or whatever. Because I'm a fucking fiend back then. And I think I was up for like 2 days at this point, I think. And I was so tired this day, right? And this plays a part. But we go to Antioch to go get his haircut. After his haircut, I remember telling him that he looked good. And I was rolling a blunt. I guess we started smoking the blunt. And I fell asleep. I wake up, though, after I had fell asleep. Like, you know how you go to sleep, you wake up for a little bit, and then, you know, go back to sleep. I woke up and I see him, like, going to go do something. I think he went to go get the pills, right, in Antioch. And then I don't know, honestly, I fell asleep, so I really don't know, like, what exactly went down when we got back to Stockton. But I know I got shot by the Blade, and what I hear is that he got into an argument with somebody and they came back, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't know. I heard this from somebody. I don't know if this is true. And that person tried to pew him. And so, but my perspective, I was in the car. I wake up and I look around and I see him getting out the car because I noticed that the car is crashed. Something's happened. I don't know, like, what's going on. I just woke up. And I see him getting out the car because, you know, he's hurt. I guess he got shot. I see him sit on the ground. He looks over. Oh, and I'm looking around. And I'm trying to find my phone, right? I'm thinking, like, where the fuck is my phone and stuff? Where'd I put my phone? I look up, and then all of a sudden, like, I just felt hella hot because, you know, I just got shot in my face. I didn't know, to be honest. At the time that I got shot, I didn't know what happened. And all I kept thinking was I just wanted to go to sleep with my mom. Like, to be honest, I just kept thinking about my mom and my sister and how I wanted to go to sleep so bad. Like, I wanted to go to bed, but with my mom. And she was in jail around this time, so I hadn't seen her for like 6 months. That's why I mean, I know I probably would think about my mom before I died, but, you know. And then he looks over at me and he's like, you know, he just goes like, oh shit. EMT came up to him, the ambulance people, and he just like, oh, my girlfriend got shot, whatever. And then I see the EMT guy open my door, and then, yeah, he got me out. And then I remember waking up one time during surgery, and I heard the doctor say that I had a contact in my eye. But yeah, that's what happened. And I'm not gonna say that I healed, but honestly, it is what it is. What can I do about it? I can't change it. I can't get my eye back. I am sad about it. I wish I could take it back, but there's nothing I can do. So yeah, that's what happened.
To call out a small business because I feel like they should be called out. So while I do my makeup, let me tell you the story. Okay, so it's been about a full year that I've been trying to deal with this business, and so let me tell you the story. Last year around this time, I had found her on Etsy, and her hats were super cute. They're cowboy hats. She's kind of more of a Western brand, and I see 3 hats that I like. So I messaged her and I'm like, hey, could I get a discount if I buy all 3 hats? And I think she gave me like a 10% or 15% discount. I can't remember exactly. So it was a purple hat, a red hat, and a blue hat. And on the pictures, it looked like everything that I wanted. So the hats come and they're honestly were really good. The purple one I was absolutely obsessed with. And then I opened the red one and it's kind of more of a maroon color, but in the picture and the listing it said red. And the maroon was just not what I was looking for. So I messaged her and I'm like, hey, can I either return this and get a refund or can I exchange it? Because like this is not the color that you said it was. And so she took forever to respond, but says, yes, you can return it and exchange it for something else. So I find a hat that I like, so I tell her I'll exchange it. But the hat that I liked was a little bit more money. So I was like, even if I have to pay more, that's obviously fine. And then a couple weeks go by, I had already sent the hat and I messaged her. I'm like, hey, have you received the hat? Can we like get on with this exchange? She once again takes forever to respond. Finally responded and was, here's a link because it's more money. I click on the link, it doesn't work. So I'm like, hey, like I'm just wondering. She takes a while to respond once again. So a little bit goes by. I message her again. I'm like, hey, like what do I need to do to like get this hat ordered? Like, is there anything I should do? Like, I promise I'll pay for the extra, you know? Then she responds to me and says, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, we've been super busy. My husband got surgery. I'll get that sent out tomorrow. I'm like, okay, like, no worries. I'm being super kind. I'm like, literally no worries at all. So a month goes by around and I message her again. I'm like, hey, like, is that hat sent out? Like, just wondering, like, can I get an update? And she responds back being like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We're switching to a storefront. I've been super busy. I will get that hat sent out. And I was like, okay, we'll see, you know. Another month goes by and I message her again. I'm like, hey, like, what do I need to do? Like, can we please make this work? Can I just get a refund if I can't get the hat? And she never responds. So then I make a claim with Etsy and then she responds because she has to. And so then I I explain the whole thing again and she's like, it shows the hat was sent. And I'm like, or the order was delivered. I'm like, the first one, yes. So then she's like kind of backtracking everything. Like it did not make sense of what she was saying. And then I was like, can I just get a refund, please? Like, obviously I can tell this is not working. And I am literally spamming her because she is not responding. And each time I'd spam her, then she would kind of respond. But I'm like sending literally 10s, 20s of messages before she responds. Because I'm like, hey, like, this isn't right. And so then she finally responds and says, this order is from 2024. I don't think there's anything we can do about it. You're the one that literally drew it out. She was literally the one that dragged it out so long because she literally never responded and took a month to respond. So I really like the hats and I'm bummed about the hats. I even told her, I was like, send back the maroon one. Like, I'll be fine with that one, whatever, if I can at least get my money back or something. And so then, yeah, so I'm kind of bummed because the hats were really nice and I really liked them, but I wouldn't recommend. The customer service sucked and now she won't respond to me. So maybe like maybe me posting this, maybe I'll get somewhere. So I'll tag I think they have a TikTok. I'll tag them down below. And yeah, so fully got scammed by them. I'm like, I bet that wouldn't happen, but like, why can't you accommodate? Like, what the heck? Anyway, so I think small businesses should be called out like this sometimes because, yeah, I'm going to. Anyway, point, I'll take the maroon one, okay? Send that back to me so we don't have to deal with this anymore. I'll never buy from you again, even though I really wanted to, but anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Story time on how my boyfriend broke up with me while I was 3 months postpartum at 15 years old. Got back together 5 years later, married and with 2 kids. So if you haven't seen any of my videos, go back and look at my videos because then this will make a little bit more sense. I had mentioned in those videos that my mom was very controlling, and she kind of controlled our relationship. So that played a major fact in why me and him broke up, but that wasn't the only reason. Yeah, that wasn't the only reason. So let's fast forward to me having the baby already, right? I had my baby in November, so now we're in February. Me and him are good. My mom during this time would pretty much like force him to like, you need to go to school and then you need to come back to the house and help my daughter with the baby. That's kind of how like the vibes that my mom was in, like that this is what we're gonna do, okay? So then starting in February, he stopped coming often. He would come every single day religiously right after school. He'll come straight back to my house, spend the night. My mom would take him to school in the morning, and it was just kind of like a routine. I was staying home with the baby. I wasn't going to school at the time. And so in February, he stopped coming. And during this time, he had joined a program in school called like GRTC. It's kind of like a military academy. And he had joined that. So then they had activities like after schools, and they had practices, and they also had like things going on during the weekend. So obviously like he wasn't coming home with me. He was staying, or he was going back to his house. So then he ended up getting a little bit of freedom, and he kind of realized like how good it felt of getting some freedom back. So then there was kind of like no turning back now. Like he loved the freedom, and that's just how things were going to be moving forward. So then he stopped coming often. I started kind of getting used to just seeing him maybe once or twice a week. Valentine's comes around, and he like surprises me with balloons and roses and a card and my favorite chocolates. I thought we were fine. Like we were just gonna co-parent this way, be in a relationship this way. And I was okay with it because I was so in love with him. So like, whatever you wanted to do, let's do it, you know? So then he ends up having a week camp with this like military thing, with this like military academy. And so he had told me that he was not going to be around, or he wasn't able to message me for a whole week. Like if he can sneak in a text, he will, but majority of the time he's gonna be really busy and whatnot. So I was like, okay, that's fine. This was already towards the end of February, going into March. I think my son, because then my son had, so this was the end of February going into March already, when he was gone for that whole week. And I remember he had texted me a week later, and he's like, hey, I'm on my way home. We had stopped by and got McDonald's. He was with his classmates still. And I remember being so fucking pissed that he has stopped by McDonald's, because I'm like, I've been on my own this whole week. I am stressed. I'm overwhelmed. Like, I need your help. And you decide to stop by McDonald's and fucking eat. Like, that should be the last thing on your mind right now. Like, you should have the urge to come home to us and see the baby, especially because you haven't seen the baby for a whole week. And then we were kind of just arguing, right? And after a few text messages, he texts me back, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. We're done. And I'm like, what do you mean we're done? Like, no, honey, we're not done. What do you mean we're done? And I said, we have a whole ass baby. Like, what do you mean we're done? Like, you can't just like leave me. Like, those are just the thoughts that were going through my head. And he was like, I can't do this no more. Like, I don't want to be with you. I'll be there tomorrow to pick up the stuff that I have at your house. And I was so devastating. I was begging, I was crying, and at some point he just stopped responding to my text messages. And the next day comes. I remember actually not being able to sleep. Like, I was so heartbroken. And during this time, it was just like I was confused because I was just mad at you for stopping by McDonald's, and like that's what it took for you to leave me. Like I was really confused during this time, not knowing what was really going on. And so then the next day comes, the baby's sleeping in the room. I go in the shower. He never texted me a time that he was gonna come and pick up his things. I just knew he was coming. But I had thought that I had time to go in the shower and get ready for him and whatnot. So like when he sees me, he's gonna be like, oh my God, I miss you. No, I was in the shower. The baby was sleeping when he had came by to grab the rest of his stuff. I got out of the shower and my brother was like, hey, like he just walked down not that long ago with the rest of his stuff. And I remember like a little kid running to the window because my room had access to like the front street, so I was able to see everything. And I just remember like seeing him get in the car, and then his mom drives off, and I am heartbroken. I am in tears. Like I just thought my world was like, it was like the end of the world. And I was just texting him, and I'm like, how could you? Like, you couldn't even say bye. You couldn't say bye to the baby. Like, what? Like, I was just so freaking confused. Like, I didn't know what was going on. So then he doesn't come for a week, right? Because this is fresh. He's like, I need to give you your space. I need my space. I'm not coming, right? So I thought. Then I go on social media. I go on Facebook. And I see a picture that was posted. And it was him and a girl. And I guess he had a military ball or something like that. And he took her as his +1. I had no idea about this. Mind you, I'm the mother of your child. Like, I should know these things, right? I had no idea that he had a military ball. And he decided to take her as his +1. Yeah. So then I remember texting him and going off, and I'm like, how could you do this to me? I went through so much so that my mom could finally accept our relationship, had a baby, went through all this just for you to pay me this way. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, you at least owe me an explanation of what the fuck is going on. Like, I need to know, where'd you meet this girl? Because I highly doubt it that within the week that we were broken up, you met this girl and then you invited her to your military ball. Like, it was too good. Like, it just, none of it was making sense. And plus, the city that we came from, everybody knew everybody. And I had no idea who this girl was. So then I'm like, this girl is not from here. So I remember texting him, blowing up his phone, crying, leaving him voicemails and text messages saying, like, you need to explain to me what is going on. Like, that's the least that you could do for me right now. So then he texts me and he's like, I met this girl at the military academy thing that they had for that whole week. Met her there. We kicked it off. They had been inseparable since then. And that he kind of like fell in love with her, and that's why he decided to leave me. It gets worse in part 2.
Hello, get ready with me while I talk about possible suspects of people who snitched on me. So I actually went up to someone and asked them if they snitched on me. Literally just asked, because I was like, I was thinking it might have been my ex-best friend, and I asked her and she said it wasn't her and that like she doesn't care enough to. Like, that's what I thought. I didn't think she snitched, but it's just like I had to ask because like you're one of the people that like doesn't like me and like would want to get me in trouble. And someone in my comments said it was Alexa, but Alexa literally bought me stuff. Like, what? So I don't know why people think it's Alexa. If you have your reasonings, please tell me. But I think it's the girl that I've had beef with since literally I was like 13 years old. This girl ruined my life. I hate her.
She switched schools at least 2 times. We've had like ongoing issues for years that I'm not gonna post on the internet. Because some of our issues have already been posted. Now I need to start that back up. Like, the thing is, I think it's her and it makes sense that it's her, but I can't prove it. Because, like, she'll never admit to it. But I have, like, oh, shit. But I have some reasoning on why I do think it was her. So, the night that I was out doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing, I kept getting, like, a bunch of prank calls. And Bella, like, every time I get a prank call, I usually just ignore it because I don't care, because I'm not entertaining anyone's bullshit. But then Bella wanted to answer it, so I was like, okay, whatever, like. So she answers it, right? And the person is making a weird ass voice, and I didn't really care I was being prank called. I never really care when I get prank called. Just a bunch of insecure, bored people. I prank call people all the time, and yeah, it really is just because I'm that bored. When I went to my sister's college in Delaware to visit her with my best friend Grace, we were prank calling our exes in ex-talking stages and screaming 6-7 jokes into the phone and laughing uncontrollably and obnoxiously. Yes, I'm just as childish. But have you seen me ever snitch on someone and get them in trouble? No. And I also think it's this girl because she also went out of her way to prank call my grandmother one time. Yes, my grandmother. Which I thought was very odd thing to do because, like, that's just some shit you never hear of. I don't know how to figure out if it was her or not. All the signs are leading up to that it was her. But honestly, I don't really care enough to do anything about it. I'm already caught. It's like, what else can I even do? Oh shit, I didn't blend that in. It's embarrassing. But I'm 90% sure that is her because this girl's had it out for me since we were in 8th grade, so it would make total sense to why she would once again stoop to this level, even though we have not spoken since literally August because I'm just tired of her bullshit and I don't care about her, and she still stalks me on secret accounts. I think it's just childish, honestly. And yeah, but if you're watching this, I hope you know I don't care about you. I hate you, and I've always hated you. And you're a skank. Even if you didn't do it, you're still a skank. And I hate you. But anyway, my cousins are coming over today to celebrate Christmas. Yesterday was my mom's birthday, so happy birthday, Mom. She didn't feel that good yesterday. She wasn't sick or anything, just was feeling kind of like having one of those days. Fortunately, it was on my birthday. And please ignore my blush blindness. I promise. Trust the process. Just trust the process. Just trust it. Okay, I accidentally finished the rest of my get ready with me off camera. But this is my lip combo. My lip liner. What's it called? There's nude pink. And this is my lip gloss. My sister gave it to me. And this is my final touch, my e.l.f. setting spray. Once I do my hair and pick out my outfit, I will post it. Bye!
Alright guys, I need some advice. I feel like the system did my son wrong today, so I'm going to give you a story time, and then you tell me what I should do about it, because I'm really frustrated. For a little backstory, I have a middle school son, and he walks himself to the bus stop. So today, this morning, I got a text saying that my kid was on a sub bus and didn't think much of it and said goodbye to my son and left, and he walked to the bus stop, and I got a call from him at 9:01 a.m. this morning. And he said, "Hey mom, just want to let you know my bus isn't here." And his bus is always there at 8:45. Like, annoyingly 8:45, the bus will sit around the corner where we can see it from the stop. But if he's early, he has to wait until it's 8:45 for him to pull up to the bus stop to pick the kids up. There's about 10 kids that get on the bus at his stop, just for some context. So he said, you know, it's 9:01.
bus isn't here. And I said, oh, you have a sub bus today. Why don't you just wait for a minute and then just let me know if it doesn't come in a bit. I was already at work, so he sends me a text message at 9:11 and he said, hey, the bus still isn't here. So I found a free moment and I called the school at 9:17 this morning. And I said, hey, I just need some help with this bus. My kid had talked to a friend that was already on the bus who said that the bus driver had missed the first stop. My kid's first stop in the morning. So they said, let us check. They got his bus number. They put me on hold. Somebody else picked up the phone and said, yeah, the bus has already made it to the school. They already dropped off the kids. And I said, that's my problem. My son wasn't on the bus. There are other kids at the bus stop waiting. Right now it's been it's been a half hour since they were supposed to get picked up. He's been there for 45 minutes. He's in the sun. Can we figure out how to get my kid picked up? And they said, yeah, we'll reroute a bus there. No problem. So I hung up and I sent my son a text and I said, hey, they're on their way. Just wait. Because he asked me if he should go home since he's been waiting, for a while. And I said, no, go ahead and wait because I don't know what time the sub bus is coming. So I go back to work at 9:40 a.m. I get another text message from my son and he said, do you think the bus should be here yet? Yes, I do. 25 minutes? Yes, I do. So I stopped what I was doing. I called the school again and I said, hey, I'm sorry. I'm calling about my son's bus again. And I gave him the situation and they said, well, let me check with transportation. They put me on hold. Somebody else picked up and they said, it's been a few minutes. Let me just see. Let me call you back. And I said, okay, perfect. So I hang up, go back in my office. I go back to work. I get another text message from my son. He said, hey, have you heard anything? And I looked down at the time and I was like, man, I got off the phone with them at 9:40 and 9:50 he sent me a text message and I said, just give it a minute. They're trying to figure everything out. Let them wait for them to call me back. Then he sent me another text message and said, hey, they're still not here. Do you know what bus number they're on? Have you looked at the app? Where's my bus? And I did, and his original bus was already back at the bus yard, but I knew that if they were rerouting a different bus, he might have a different bus number. So I called back and I said, hey, I'm just waiting to see what bus. Can you tell me what bus number so I can follow the app, so I can tell my son there's still another kid waiting. At this point, all of the other kids had gotten picked up by their parents and taken to school. His school starts at 9:45, so now he's officially late to school. So he's in a black shirt, he's wearing jeans, and it is between 75 and 80 degrees here in Florida. And it was 75 when he left the house. It was now almost 80 degrees. And it's hot. There are no trees where my son gets on the bus. And they've been standing outside now in the sun for almost an hour. So over an hour. So I call them and she transfers me again, and a lady picks up and I said, hey, I'm sorry that I'm calling again, but we're still dealing with this. And it was trying to keep a timeline. I'm sorry. I believe it was 10:20. So I was letting her know that my kid left our house almost 2 hours ago. So now he has walked to the bus stop. He was supposed to eat breakfast at school, so he hasn't eaten yet. He was running out of water. He was now sunburnt. It is 80 degrees. He's in jeans and a black t-shirt. I told him he could not come home because I wanted him to catch this random bus that I didn't know what time it was coming. And she said, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. So I kind of explained in more detail. They had a sub bus. The sub bus missed the first stop. The whole, story, and here we are. And she said, and they transferred you to transportation? And I said, yeah, a couple of times. I think this is the fourth time I've called now. And she said, well, they couldn't have because it's in a different building. They don't have a way to transfer you. They would have to call. I said, I don't know, but somebody answers and then somebody else picks up after they say, hold on, let me transfer you. Let me figure this out. And she said, well, not apologetic at all, not concerned for my son or the other kid that had been stranded at this bus stop for almost 2 hours. No concern whatsoever. And just to give you some, context, there are coyotes that go through our neighborhood. There are alligators that go through our neighborhood. We're on a canal. There are kids that have been, kidnapped and shot, and just crazy things are happening in the world right now, and way too close to home that it concerns me when he's outside. But in the morning when I'm like, he's waiting for the bus for 10 minutes, that's a different scenario to now it's been 2 hours and we're looking at something completely different. So when I didn't get an apology, I lost it. I'll be honest, I have such a big mom heart. I feel like it's my job to protect my kid, and knowing that him and another kid are out there and they're sunburnt and they're hot and they're sweating and they haven't eaten breakfast and they're late for school and they're frustrated and they have no idea what's going on. And I'm concerned for their safety. None of that sits well with me. And so she interrupted me to say, it was very chaotic at school. They had a fire drill this morning, and I said, oh, you guys had a drill. So if something were to happen where it would be a safety issue, they would know what to do. However, this was a safety issue this morning and nobody's cared. Nobody's prioritized my kid's safety this morning. I feel like you failed these children. And unfortunately, I was getting ready to walk in a meeting and she said, I will call transportation. I will call you right back. I said, great. So I hung up with her again and went to grab my stuff to go into this meeting. And she calls me back 3 minutes later. And she says, I don't really know how to say this, but nobody's coming for your son. And I said, what do you mean nobody's coming for my son? And she said, you might as well tell him to walk home because there's not a bus en route and there's really nothing that I can do about it. Still hasn't apologized yet, just tells me that there's nothing that they can do. And look, go to part two.
Hey, what y'all get for number 12?
I got 18.
I got 9.5.
I got Abraham Lincoln for some reason.
December 30th, 2023, my daughter, who was 11 at the time, went to stay the night with one of her friends who was a distant cousin, her mom, who was a distant cousin, and a good friend of mine, so I thought. They were staying at the mom's boyfriend's house, who I admittedly did not know, but he was a physician's assistant. I trusted the mother wholeheartedly. It was not the first sleepover with them. The mother is a nurse, and so I was just thinking, like, these people are entrusted with lives all the time and they're safe. Well, December 31st, 2023, my daughter started texting me, freaking out, wanting to come home. She said that she didn't feel safe. She just wanted to come home. It was because of where they were, the town, which is not very safe. It has a high crime rate. And so I went and got her. I drove really fast because I just had a really bad feeling that something wasn't right, but she continued to say that everything was fine. So the mother told me all kinds of crazy stories about what had supposedly happened with the family that was there. It was just really crazy. So then fast forward to January 5th, the mother called me and said that a sheriff had just came to her house to do a welfare check on our children, and that she had given them my number. And she also had other really odd off-the-wall stories to go along with why they would have came. She blamed it on her stepmother. She blamed it on other incidents. But she just continued to claim that nothing had happened. She knew nothing had happened. Well, I had just started a new job. So she was still out on Christmas break, and I went and picked her up from her friend's house. And I asked her if anything had happened. I told her that the cops had been at the mother's house, and they thought that something had happened, that the boyfriend had been inappropriate with the girls somehow, some way. And she just broke down crying and said that he had had inappropriate conversations with them, talking about the D words, male D words, talking about seeing girls' private parts all the time at work, trying to get them to hit the vape. Keep in mind they were 11 and 10. He gave them 5-hour energy drinks to stay awake all night long. He kept them up all night. So automatically, he told them that they could cuss is the other thing. But as soon as I had her okay, I called the mom and told her what my daughter had told me, because I was worried that she was probably with the boyfriend, and I was worried about this man having access to her daughters. And so this mom just acted like she was so distraught over this news. She apologized and just kept on apologizing, and I assured her that I did not think that she would purposely have her children around someone like that. And I called and checked on her. We talked a couple of more times. Well, then a detective called me and wanted me to bring my daughter into the gingerbread house, which is where they do the forensic interviews for any kind of SA, all of that. So when we got there, it was Brinley's stepmom, bonus mom, and myself, and then Brinley. So they took Brinley into a room to talk to her and do the forensic interview, and the detectives told Rachel and myself that they had received something that was pretty concerning from a concerned family member, and it was a text message that the concerned family member found whenever she saw some red flags and decided to look in the mom's phone to disprove her suspicions. And she found a message saying, "Oh my God, baby, you're going to be so excited. Your dreams are coming true. Grwn, which is my daughter, is staying the night. Get the cameras ready," with clapping hand emojis. And he said, "For sure, get the cameras ready. Don't let her shower until I get there." So, during the forensic interview, we found out that she took 3 baths. So based off of that message, we pretty well know that she was being recorded. And that led to him being arrested 3 different times. He has been in jail since March 15th of 2024 on 1 obstruction of justice charge and either 17 or 21 counts of CSAM. If you don't know what that is child blank assault material. The woman who pretty much handed my child over on a silver platter is still free as a bird, playing victim. We later found out that they were both on drugs, pretty much everything under the sun, prescription drugs and street drugs. And the mother, because they did not find any evidence of my daughter, is still free. Now, if they found any evidence of my daughter, she would have charges, but because she got a lawyer, they claim that nothing can be done because they have not found anything in my daughter. So that is the hell that we have been living for the past year and 2 months, going on 3 months. And I just don't understand how people can get away with these types of things. I mean, there is so much more that has came out. We pretty well know that he had a buyer for whatever he was attempting to obtain of my daughter. I mean, I'm sure he was able to get it, but he knew, or they knew, that the family that was staying with them was on to them and what they were doing. And so, number one, they had plenty of time to get rid of any evidence. They also destroyed both of their phones. We have no idea what devices weren't recovered. I really just feel like the justice system is failing us, and because they have not found anything specifically of my daughter, even though the message that started all of this was, oh my God, baby, your dreams are coming true. Brenna's staying the night, and get the cameras ready, and don't let her shower until I get there. I thought that I would be able to summarize that a little bit quicker. I know that there are a lot of details missing. I know that none of it makes sense. You're not telling me anything I don't know, but just keep us in your prayers. I know that God ultimately is who is in charge of justice, and so even though the justice system here in Caddo Parish is failing us, well, not here, but even though the justice system here is failing us, I know that God ultimately is the justice system. So just keep us in your prayers, and if anyone has legal advice for us, I will be glad to hear it.
But I've gotten to the point, you should know this too, that I'm
So for anyone who is new here, my daughter went to stay the night with a good friend of hers and a distant relative on her dad's side, someone that I thought that I knew well and trusted. And the mother texted her boyfriend and told him his dreams were coming true and that my daughter was coming to stay the night. And to get the cameras ready, she took 3 baths in one night. To answer these questions, were they charged? He was charged with, first, obstruction of justice on a $500,000 bond. He bonded out on that. Second, he was charged for 13 counts of child, you know what, and that was a $1.3 million bond. He bonded out on that. And then an additional 4 counts of child blank were added. So another $400,000. He was arrested again, and that's when he stayed. I think he ended up with 7 more counts added while he was in jail. I don't know. He had a bunch of counts of child blank. But the obstruction of justice charge was because he destroyed his cell phone. The girlfriend, by the way, the names are Daniel Bartlett and Lauren Benson Boyette, but her maiden name is Benson, and yeah. She also destroyed her cell phone, but she lawyered up, and so she didn't cooperate with the investigation. She would not answer any kind of questions. If they had found photos of my daughter, then they could have went forward with investigating her. But because she had a lawyer, they could not do anything further, apparently. My daughter was initially listed as a victim, but because they didn't find her in any of the photos, despite the fact that the message about her is what started the whole investigation, they didn't find her in any of the photos, and so they apparently didn't have anything to charge Lauren on. And while it seems that we should be rejoicing and thankful for the fact that they didn't find anything of my daughter, that just means they didn't find it. That means they didn't get the right devices, or they were able to get rid of the evidence quick enough because they knew that the family who was staying there with them had caught on and they knew something was up. And that just means that the criminals made it out. He ended up being sentenced to 2 counts of attempted blank involving juveniles with 3 years of hard labor for each to be served consecutively, and credit for time served. So basically a slap on the wrist.